wise man once said, the highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. I'm going to tell you how you can manifest that reality. As soon as you wake up every single morning, I want you to relax. Don't grab your phone, don't move. Close your eyes and visualize your life. Visualize.
Hey everyone, welcome back to More Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be doing some Terra. So we got a brand new set and a lot of really interesting cards in Compendium. However, for Terra, we didn't really get a whole lot. So let me kind of talk, I guess, through some of the new cards that Terra has in its kit. So let me pull those up here. All right, so I pulled up the new Terra cards here. So the first card I think we talked about on stream is Doubling Season. So this card is not as bad as I think a lot of people think it. I mean, it is pretty bad, like on first impressions. Like the kind of like cost you have to put into it to like kind of get the equivalent amount of value just by playing like a 3 attack, 8 power is very, very high. That being said, there are some benefits to this card. Like you don't rule it out entirely. There is like a combo deck that I've seen like going around the Discord where you can like set up a ton of mites and like do a bunch of crazy things. That being said, you have to get all the line up, and then you have to like I think there's like some deck that was like making like confidence tokens or whatever, which is cool. Like I think there is definitely like some mild reason to play this card, and like you can actually kind of build around it. That being said, I think in kind of like our normal sloppy style Terra, this card it's too many hoops to jump through, basically, right? Like you have to basically make 8 individual sources of +1 in order to actually like get the full value out of Doubling Season by like not just playing like a 3 attack or whatever. So Doubling Season unfortunately does not make the cut. There is also we got some new like earth buffing stuff in the Seeds of Strength and the sprout. Can't say that. We also got some new cards in the Seeds of Strength as well as the Sprout Strength, which I think are both really interesting. So these kind of synergize with Doubling Season, but also kind of function on their own, which is really like interesting. So Seeds of Strength makes 5 mites basically in Terra, and then Sprout Strength makes like 3 instances of mites basically. So both really, really cool cards. But unfortunately, I think like those cards just kind of like fall a little bit short. Like this whole package is very, very intensive, right? And like the reward you get for like all the work you're doing like doesn't really match it, right? The one actually like really, really good card that I got is Destructive Tendencies. So this, if you don't know, is kind of like an Enigma hate piece. Now, Enigma can play around this card, so they can play out like a Waxing Spectre basically and remove or like put counters on the Waxing Spectre. And what you'll notice about this card is it says remove all counters from target aura token, so you basically can't remove them from like a non-token aura, which is actually kind of like a bit restrictive with this card. But I think this card actually is really, really good sideboard tech for Enigma, which I think is going to be one of, if not like one of the top tier decks, I think it's going to be at least like an A tier deck that a lot of people will bring. So Enigma, I think, is definitely like worth teching for. Now, how much we got to tech for Enigma is actually kind of an open question. So with that, I guess out of the way, let's go ahead and maybe get into the deck for today. So again, we're going to be seeing a lot of new Sage stuff coming out of calling the London world premiere, right? And I'm preparing for calling San Diego, which I think is basically a week after, right? And my predictions for like top 3 decks basically are like Brier, Enigma, Oldhim. It seems like there's like some kind of like triangle going on between these 3. So like Brier is basically trying to beat Enigma, Enigma is basically trying to beat Oldhim, and Oldhim's trying to beat Brier. Like those are like kind of like the 3 decks. And I guess you can even like kind of make this like equivalent to like Slop is trying to beat Aggro. Aggro is trying to beat like anti-slop, and anti-slop is trying to beat slop. So like those are kind of like the I guess like the main categories. So there's not been a lot really of changes to the main deck in Terra. So we did lose Chain, which is basically one of our best matchups. And losing Chain was one of our worst matchups rather. So that's very, very good for us, right? So Terra, I think, has a very interesting wedge where you can kind of be anti-Brier as well as anti-Oldhim, because you basically will always win the Oldhim here, which is kind of like the reason to play this deck. The only thing that's a little bit tough is the Enigma matchup. And I think there's actually like some decent kind of sideboard that you can bring for that matchup. So I think in the extreme case, what you can do is you can devote like 5 sideboard slots here. So we have the 2 Somersaults, the Destructive Tendency, as well as the 2 red Somersaults. So we have like a basically like 5-card Enigma package along with the pummels. So if Enigma is super prevalent, I think this package is really good. Now, that being said, if Enigma is not prevalent, what we could do is maybe cut like 1 red Somersault, maybe make room for maybe another card in like the main deck, just so like it's a little bit easier sideboard or whatever. I think that's pretty reasonable, but like running Somersault is actually like not that bad into a lot of matchups. Like you run into like a lot of like the Aura Guardians, run it into if it just randomly swipes like an agility token is pretty good, like run into the Rune Blades, that kind of thing. So this card's still like really, really not bad. But yeah, the shell of the deck is basically like largely the same. It's just kind of like we can kind of shift our deck to be a bit more of like a toolbox for the meta, which I think makes it a really interesting choice. But yeah, with that out of the way, again, there's not really like too many like new changes to deck. We're just gonna play this deck as is, get some testing in, and then kind of see how it performs. But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get some games. Right. Playing against a Brier. So I think general probably just want to go second. I imagine they probably just pass though. And then let's go ahead and bring in our Oasis. Bring in Sanj is actually pretty good in Brier. Yeah, I think we just run it like this. Goes. Starting with the boulder drop is definitely not bad. At least forces them to block. Some Briars will just like straight eat the boulder drop damage though. And then here I think we can go ahead and just give them Ranger. Looks like they are going to try to commit to trying to push some damage here, which I think is like cool. Stack Shock, so full hand. Again, trading 4 cards for 4 cards is definitely like something this deck kind of actively wants to be doing. And then let's go ahead and just send. Actually might be correct to just send the Autumn Touch here. I don't really want to send too much damage so that our like Oasis is like offline. I think I'm just gonna put this in the graveyard in case we end up like, I don't know, wanting to use the Summer's Fall later in the game or something. And I'm not really trying to race as much as I'm just trying to kind of like keep the life totals relatively even. Kind of all just like going through our deck basically. Mainly the reason to kind of like try to keep the life totals on parity is for stuff like Oasis Fruits. Used to be for like the sake of polarity and stuff as well. Okay, looks like they're going to come in with the burn up here. So we're going to be pitching one this turn anyway, so might as well just pitch the flourish because we do have the staunch. Yeah, our goal here is to basically just not have this hit. Coming for 9. It could have the lightning press here. Do we see a lightning press revealed at some point, or am I just hallucinating that? Could also be the case. Let's go ahead and maybe just give them. I mean, there are a couple options here. I think staunch is probably still the best. In which case we should probably just give up. I guess civics is probably fine. It's a little bit weird to like be using civics this early, but I think if they're gonna play like another card after this, I'm not too afraid. Right, so there's Scar. And just block it out. They could pop their Garland here if they wanted to swing Reaping Blade. Yeah, love it. So it does force us to not play Renounce Grandeur, but we're kind of like not really wanting to play Renounce Grandeur, especially when they're not presenting a ton at us. So we know they have a snatch had a snatch on top of the deck. So one of these cards in hand is a snatch. Okay, I'm gonna guess with the sigil here, but that's whatever. 1 damage we can definitely kind of afford to take, and their blocking value is not like really that good. So ideal here is we play the Sirens. Let's go ahead and just take a little bit of damage. Embodiment and snatch here is a-okay with us. I guess I kind of expected them to maybe play 1 more card. In that case, we probably should have like maybe given a little bit more, but I guess we can just go ahead and throw the canopy in front of us. If they want to lightning press this, I'm kind of like fine with that. It's in 7 with the potential life gain plus the potential or the guaranteed might on the back. Let's go ahead and make our might. Yeah, they chose to eat the damage mainly so they don't give us the 1 life gain from the Sirens, which I think makes sense. Right there. Leffic. Pretty good. Good lightning. Do Surge, go again. Sure. Funny thing is, I think, or no, sorry, this has to be fused to get the go again, right? Yeah. So this did need the actual embodiment to get. Let's kind of just keep throwing our hand in front of things. And we do have to be a little bit careful about lightning press. Like not that urgently though. Right, go and take our one little rune chain damage. I think I'm kind of fine here, maybe just like throwing the armor in front of this. Yeah, press, not the end of the world. Take 4. Could be worse. The funny part is it's not really all that much damage, right? Because we're going to be gaining the life back from the sirens, which is kind of hilarious. And I guess we get to keep little life totals down a little bit. Both scars are out of the way, so the incentive to like keep the life totals a bit even is a little bit lower. Might be getting sigiled again. Okay, no sigil this time. Yeah, we just want to keep the life totals even. Still have a lot of armor to work with here, which is also really good. They're halfway through their deck. Block with them. Flash, so they're expecting a little nimbleism package here. Makes sense to me. Here's flittering. I don't think there's any real follow-up they can have here. I'll just take the damage. Coming in for 7, so we'll go ahead and just throw a little bit of cards in front of this. So the awkward part about the sirens is actually kind of they take 7, go to 5. So I think we actually just only block with the sirens, right? So we get the guaranteed life gain out of it. It could dip pretty low if they do have the other press here. Fine. Again, we're gonna be padding some of the life total back anyways. We drop to 2 here, but we're technically at like 4 or 5 because of the sirens. We are also kind of playing around the other potential digital suffering here. Might have gotten a little bit too aggressive this game, but it's kind of still fine anyways. So looks like they might be going for the sigil. Yep, makes sense. I think in this case we'll go ahead and just pay since the might kind of like cancels it out, I guess. Are we getting like 3 value as opposed to 2? Seems kind of worth it. We are all out of presses at this point, which is also pretty good for us. So you don't really have to play around any super big tricks other than just shock, I guess, which they've also used the second one of these. So yeah, I think we're still in pretty good shape. But let's go ahead and pitch the non-Earth card, I think. Maybe it was supposed to actually be the Thunderquake. Should be fine regardless, though, here. Oh, Sprout Spring. This is the new card that we are talking about for Terra, but not really super applicable for us. I know. What do we want to do here? So we could actually just like Arsenal Staunch if we really wanted to. Force them to play through a 4-card hand. Don't send any damage. It's an option. We also just like overblock this. We see both sigils, both shocks. Maybe just giving them the armor here is fine. I think I kind of don't mind this. We're gonna be staying 6 of them. They've already used their blade beckoner. We have a staunch in arsenal. So I think this game pretty much locked. There is a couple cards I guess they can have here. Maybe they have like a 4 block or something, and they're able to keep like a 3-card hand or something. I don't know. But having a staunch in arsenal is a pretty good guarantee. Let's go. Staunch here. 4 goes, presumably no reacts. Yeah, you can probably just go ahead and like pitch the staunch to the rune chant, pitch or block Clash of Arms or whatever. Works out pretty well for us, I think, and then we're still forcing a card basically every turn. With some armor to spare as well. What cards do we actually have to be worried about? I guess they have another Malefic. Another Sprout Strength, which is, I guess, Arcane Seeds, maybe. There's still some threats that are definitely left in their deck. There's Malefic. Pretty good timing. That might start to add up over the course of the rest of their deck. I think here we're just gonna Oasis this. Pitching what? Pitching the Staunch is probably the most awkward card. See what their follow-up is here. Yeah, we kind of want to just keep blocking as much as possible because eventually they will run out of damage. Right, there's their Arcane Seed. So the nice part is the Rune Chant breakpoints might line up kind of nicely for us. Embolism as well. Got a lot of stuff coming at us, but I don't think there's enough to necessarily push through. We take this Rune Chant just so we can launch, right? That's the play. I guess it's still like a little bit awkward. Probably should have thought a little bit more on the staunch. Still kind of fine though. Here's second strike. Means we can like go Oasis this if we want to. Seems fine. And we can just keep taking away cards. And send the fist again. Yeah, we kind of got them a lock basically. Like I think needed to maybe hold on to a press somehow, but it's definitely kind of difficult for the deck to do, right? Not very easy. Coming for 10, our hand blocks 10, and they cannot have any follow up here, so I just throw it in front. And we got a pretty sizable deck advantage here, so we're in a good spot. I can't imagine any combination of cards they can have left over here that actually win them the game. Maybe like Yellow Lightning Press if we don't play around it. Oh, we will go ahead and maybe just play around it here. Pitching on the Reaping Blade, which will put in front of. Drop to 1, gain life. Gain 2 life, rather. Finish the game on the next turn. Pretty good. This matchup is pretty favored, is what I would say. It's one of the reasons why some of the aggro decks definitely struggle a bit. Like, I think Phi has like an interesting kind of wedge as like a kind of like anti-aggro aggro deck, but a Brier kind of is like it's like your kind of like generic all around kind of like good aggro deck. Speaking of everyone here again, this is kind of like a tough matchup from their end. It looks like they might be playing like Lupine's List or something, which is kind of funny, or at least like pretty similar. I know the yellow flourishes are been kind of popular lately. All right, but yeah, pretty good one. Let's see if we can get another. Playing against Acilio, I think this is 83. Big Titan's Fist is probably fine, just so we have a little bit of extra buffer. And then let's bring in the Oasis and bring in. I don't think this matters. Summer's Fall, probably okay. Probably do want some Nora Pummel though. I can't cover Renounce for Summer's Fall because the Cilia does run some number of auras, although I don't think it's going to matter all that much. Maybe just some 2 costs is like a little bit nicer. But yeah, let's try something like this. See how it goes. I mean, we could just pummel a Summer's Fall on turn 1, but it's probably not correct. Depends what they do, or depends how they block. We get like a lot of damage, and I think it's probably decent. Yeah, I think if our opponent's just going to do this, I don't think getting the 5 damage is worth it. Plus, the Disruption could line up at a different point in the game. It seems like they're going to pitch their Glyph Power Spell, which is one of the new cards from the set. A lot of cool things actually kind of going on in other heroes, maybe not our hero, but that's fine. Uh, yeah, we got a pretty good turn lined up for us. So Oasis is a little awkward just because we can't pitch a Voltic Veil. Prevent the next hit for damage. Okay, interesting. That's like a it's a sideboard option, I guess. Prevention effect is pretty good. Sure if that's very good into us specifically, but it's probably not terrible, just kind of like on the whole. I think if they're just gonna present the Blast to Oblivion, I think I'm just gonna like go ahead and throw some armor in front of this and make them do something. They can blow up my might token, which is fine. Again, not a huge deal. Money value though, so like getting functionally 4 value out of Lightning Press is not too bad. But yeah, putting us down to 15, but we get to pummel another Somersault at them, which I guess is kind of hilarious. And then we get 2 floating Oasis and Arsenal, so I don't think they normally run any spells that they can play on our turn. There's this new Strike Twice one, but I think that's normally meant to be played on your turn, right? Because you want to like play you want to like deal arcane damage and then like play it as like kind of like a snapback effect. I think is the logic. Pretty cool card though. Big fan of this one. Alright, let's go ahead and send in the pummel. So we put them down to 7, give them a 4-card hand. You have the Vigor token, which could or also could not matter. And we're also making a might, which is well, not too bad. Future Sight. All right, create 3 Sigil of Fate tokens. Fascinating. These are basically like opt tokens, which is really cool. And they do also have the Glyph Power Spell to follow it up. How do I want to do this? I don't know if it's actually correct to use Oasis here. Your hand's like kind of fine, even just like without it. I guess we could pitch the block cards. Maybe that makes it a little bit worth it. So let's go ahead and mages. But seems fine enough. Get like 5 prevention here. Then we can like, oh, they have the strike types as well. Okay, so we're gonna actually get some pretty decent value here. So we can now pitch another 3. Send Titan's Fist, discard fruits. Not too bad. Sigil Fates are a little bit scary. And really interesting. How much is opt 3? So it's not opt 3, right? So like opt 3 is like better than opting 3 times in a row, but it is still pretty cool, right? But 1 cost is definitely like pretty rough. I guess the bigger token might have helped to kind of offset that a little bit, which is kind of funny. But yeah, we'll go ahead and just let this happen. Overcharge is also a new one, so if you played an instant or this combat chain, so it's like another 0 for 4 in its Asilius toolkit. Potential 0 for, or sorry, no, it's 1 for 4 in its Asilius toolkit, so a little bit less good, but it's a 3 block, so maybe a little bit more acceptable. All right, so we've opted 1 card on bottom, 1 card on top. Okay. Very cool. So we're coming in with the Voltic, maybe just overpitching red. So I could pitch 2 here and just send Disable with Threaten Lethal, or like Pseudo Lethal. I guess it's probably fine. Very cool Astilio deck from our opponent, though. They got the power spells, they got the Voltic Bolts, they got a lot of cool stuff going on. Yeah, I wonder if that 1 turn if we were supposed to actually use the Oasis, because having the Oasis is definitely good insurance. Right. So get him down to 4. Want to try to ideally play the Boulder Drop this turn. I think because we want to play the Boulder Drop, I'm just going to like give them the rest of my armor, because it looks like they're a little bit more like spell heavy. At least maybe on the first part of this draw. Right, they're going to pump it to 7. Pretty good. hope they have like another 0 for 4 to follow up here, because this actually makes the math work out very cleanly. And boulder drop, gain a life. Real nice. So now they have to give us maybe the Flash of Brilliance plus a card here, and like go to 1. Seems like their best play, maybe. Right, looks like it's 2 Glyph Overlays. Oh, Glyph Overlay is another pretty good one. That being said, they haven't gotten a ton of sigils, but I guess this doesn't really work with the new sigil fates because those pop on your turn, right? Seems like they're maybe just going to go for... Oh. I mean, for 7. Seems fine with me. Go ahead and just give them the 7 block and send another boulder drop. Boulder drop doing a decent bit of work against the Acilio here. Now they have to give 2 cards. 1 3 block plus Flash of Brilliance won't cut it. Yeah, putting them on a 3 card hand is pretty rough for them, I think. Okay, they have the Voltic Veil, so that is one way. No, they still have to give us a card here, right? So they deal a damage to us, which is pretty good. So it's kind of like a 1 cost Sigil of Suffering almost thing. Not bad. I guess if they have like another, no, they already used the second one. Can't do it twice. That card is not like terrible though, especially in Acilio. Or I mean, I guess that's the only real one you can run it in. I guess you could also run this in Icelander if you really wanted to, but I don't think the maybe worth it as a prevention effect. Maybe you just run Oasis instead or something. Sigil of Forethought, create a ponder token. Okay, sure. Let's. I don't even know what I really want to do here. I guess we're just sending in these sirens, making a might I-ping with the clash. We still are buying a card here, gaining a life on the back, making a might. All the good stuff. Blue Overcharge. I actually didn't know this came in Rainbow. I guess it is like a lightning 3 block with upside. It does have go again for what's worth, so like maybe marginally adjacent, kind of like Heaven's Claw or something. Then pay might, and then Arsenal and Staunch. But Oasis is definitely coming at a good time here. See how wide or how tall they're able to go with Arcane here. If they even have Arcane to begin with. I guess we do have another Glyph power. I think they pitched one earlier, right? They might be coming back around to it. I haven't really kept track though. So I think I'm just gonna go for like the double block here. If they do go for Arcane Spell, then we can go in Oasis. If not, then we're probably fine. Okay, you have the comments from Shock. Not bad. You could just like AB1 with the Oasis and just swing in. I think that's actually not bad, right? Go to 6 and then send 5. That means that they do get to keep an arsenal. How many Comet Storm Shocks have we actually seen? I think both Comet Storm Shocks, okay. I don't think we're dying to like a random shock unless they have some crazy hand here. And we've also seen the Strike twice as well, right? So I don't think they have, unless they're running like Snapback or something crazy. But even then, I don't think that does it. I think they just have to give me 2 cards here. Pretty good spot for us. Yep. It's to me. Or maybe they're just gonna maybe don't have the blocking in hand. Oh yeah, so they have the Glyph Power Spell and then a bunch of sigils and a Fluttering Charge. Okay. Yeah, pretty good one. I mean, Acilio is like super close to being there. They do have like a lot of big arcane spells, so it looks like they're kind of like maybe boarding into like maybe a more big arcane package, and maybe they have like an aggro plan for kind of more aggressive matchups. I think that's actually like pretty reasonable. Voltic Veils, I think, is a card that's like there's a lot of one cost in this deck, which feels really awkward, right? Like the red overcharge is a one cost, the Voltic Veils a one cost. Maybe the one cost like altogether like kind of are less bad, maybe. But yeah, like definitely like having to pitch in Acilio is a lot different than like CC, right? Where you don't have to really pitch as much. But yeah, pretty good one. Let's see if we can get maybe one last one. All right, let me get to Goliath. So this is definitely a bit of an. So let's bring our Swatches, bring our Summers. Oasis is probably also wanted. Now what can we cut here? Pronounce is kind of funny in Goliath, right? We could cut maybe just the Boulder Drops because our weakest card. Excuse me. Let's maybe try something like this and see how it goes. Right, Somersault a little bit early, but not a huge deal. Go ahead and maybe just send in the fist here for 4. There's also an option to pitch the Somersault, but I do think we want something too personal. There have been some pretty good Lyeth lists running around. I don't know exactly like what his spread is kind of like. That's the villainous pose here. The one thing we do have to be a little bit worried about is like, ooh, drag down. So this is a brand new card from Endium, giving us basically -1. So it looks like they are running some number of Intimidate with the Mocking Blow or the Skadistic Scowl here. But at least they're not setting up like a big suspense or anything, so I'm kind of happy at least with that exchange. It looks like we got a lot of mites here with the Cruel Ambition and the Booze. And when this hits hero, the crowd boos you. I mean, I guess in this case, we're probably just going to go ahead and give the 8 here. So we should theoretically win all of our clashes. Or no, sorry, this is not a Guardian card, so the clashes don't trigger. Okay, makes sense to me. So let's go ahead and just hit them with a Renounce here, which is probably going to be a pretty annoying on hit for them. Right, looks like they're going to hit us with another drag down. So this will cover the breakpoints nicely, and look, they don't have to activate Lyeth, which is at least a little bit nice here. Renounce Grandeur has actually been putting in a ton of work. Oh, this is actually kind of a disgusting. Unless they have some way to like buff here, we can at least deny the 3 might tokens. So the clashes are going to be. I hope we win. Okay, we do win, which is actually quite good for us. Yeah, not too bad. Clashing against Lyeth seems quite strong. Fortunately, our Summer's Fall is not active yet. It normally takes a little bit to get the Summer's Fall like fully online. It's kind of like awkward, right? I honestly thought about like cutting maybe down to like 1 and bringing in some other like maybe like a Wreck Havoc or something. I think they're all pretty close. I still need to maybe play with the Somersault a little bit more, but it is definitely a bit hard to activate. Like getting it early is not the easiest thing in the world, right? I wonder if there's like any Earth equipment that we can maybe leverage. Like I know we do have like the prevention ones. But those also take like a lot of decompose to get in line and stuff like that. So like, also not like a very good answer. All right, coming in for a solid 11. And currently blocks 9, but we can go ahead and like just throw everything in front of it, right? No real reason to give them a confidence token here. We get a nice little bit of light padding. But yeah, Lyeth basically plays a bit like Azalea, kind of feels like. Alright, so we found our Earth, which is at least nice. So we can like double block at the Canopy Shelter, play at Summer's Fall. We could be kind of in business here. I'm assuming they're probably going to attack in here. Oh, there's Mocking Blow. At least the nice part is they're not, or they were booed, right, from the villain's pose. Okay, so they do still get the boo value. What do we want to do here? Take 7. Got enough of a life buffer and just take out a might token. Seems like mid, but probably worth. I do feel like there is like a real Lyeth deck out there somewhere. I just don't know where. Like, I think this is maybe like I know there's also like a fatigue build. I actually don't know like what the difference is between this and the fatigue build. But goodbye my token. So we're at least getting like a 10 value turn cycle here. We got to put in a little bit of work to do it, but still 10 value, right? We get 1 might from them, 1 might from us, and then 8 damage. Too bad. A lot of good auras right now, which is why I've been like kind of leaning towards like the Summers Falls and the Renounce Grandeurs, but they're like some matchups they are definitely like a little bit awkward. Still definitely like figuring out like what all the kind of ratios are for this deck, or like it feels like there's a lot of tension between like what the possible meta could be. So I think Terra is actually in a really good spot in that sense that it does feel like there's tech you can bring for any meta, but like what the meta is like the big question I think on everyone's minds, especially for like world premiere and also just San Diego stuff. Meta games are always very, very interesting. All right, let's go ahead and clash again. I imagine we would. I mean, I don't know how like likely we are to lose a clash, but it happened. I imagine not lose that one though. Pretty good. Yeah, I'd say the guardian cards are pretty good when you can like basically kind of guaranteed connect with them. Oh, they do get to bump over though, so they will be getting a confidence here. Pretty good, but we can now at least threaten the Renounce Grandeur. God, Renounce Grandeur. So I've tested this card and I've also tested Crashdown. And the funny thing about Renounce, so like baseline Renounce, like same stat line, right? But the on hit on you get the on hit on Crashdown versus like the crush effect on Renounce. The crush effect, like it's honestly, I think about like the difference between those cards is like you're getting an additional on hit, which is very, very good, but you're like losing a block value, which definitely hurts you in a lot of matchups, especially when you like need to block out, you draw a bunch of 2 blocks. Deck has like it's running up against like the theoretical limit, I feel like, of like how many 2 blocks you should actually be running in a deck. So you gotta be like very, very careful. It looks like they're maybe just gonna lie up here. Right, and breath. So this is a new one from the set. So we got confidence on this, and then they basically like have everything, right? But it does have to crush to do that, so I guess it's not that great here, and we can just like block it out just on board alone. So pretty good for us. I think we can decompose another Summer's Fall, although we don't really use it. Might as well play it. Yeah, and seven value is still 7 value. I still have another blue Summer's Fall in the deck, so maybe it gets a little bit better. Like better, beaten, and broken, and then they get so they got 3 mites off of this exchange, right? Not too bad. But we are just sitting on Oasis. We got a nice little deck advantage. I feel like that Walk in My Shoes is a pretty good card. Or what is this card called? Yeah, it's just Walk in My Shoes. Okay, very interesting. Uh, do we think that they're going to swing with the Titan's Fist? Because one thing we could do is Oasis in response, but I think we can block anyways. It's not getting intimidated. Yeah. But I'm kind of glad we did that in the sense that they are just following up with the Mocking Blow. So I think we're just going to go for the Oasis here. All right, they did have the Walk in My Shoes as well. Oh, the funny part, I guess, about the Mocking Blow in life is you can basically always get the boo right. I'm so used to seeing this card just in KO. But in life, I think it also makes a fair bit of sense. Right, go ahead and give it. Assume they're probably just going to pump with Goliath. Playback work with Goliath's ability. +1. I guess it does work, right? The block floor? Unless I'm. This gets +1 while defending, or it's guard well. Base is half rounded up. Shouldn't this be getting buffed? Or am I imagining things? Huh. Weird. Someone comment. Someone who's a judge comment what this should be getting. So the mice. Too many things going on here. So this is having it, or half rounded up. So it's the base block of cards. The base block is half rounded up, so it stays at 1. You get a -1. It's defending a weapon attack. Oh, it's because the Maki. Okay, so it is getting a +1. It's just the Maki blow's coming. Sorry. It's been. I think it's at like midnight right now, so I'm like slowly losing my mind. If you're a judge, don't comment on the video. Not worth it. Okay, cool. So that's staunch. All right, just losing my mind at nearly midnight here. All right, time to go to bed, but we should be able to wrap it up here. Imagine pretty shortly. We're not threatening lethal, but we still have the staunch as like up. So I mean, we haven't used like any of our armor, which is kind of hilarious. Or Eliath. Eliath Guardian Mirror with the Clash cards just seems like so brutal. It was very, very rough for them. Go ahead and gain a life, make a might. Very, very good. Right, big hammer. Send it in. So this should be coming for 7 if I remember my mental math correctly. Okay. 7, so we're forcing another block here. I don't. They could have some like intimidate. Like I think they still have like another bad breath or something, right? Yeah, I'm imagining that. Oh no, they use both bad breaths. They have a sadistic scowl, which guess we gotta be a little bit careful. I don't think that's enough. Yeah, I don't know if they're running like enough buffs to necessarily get through our defenses here. Like, it feels like they need like a lot more intimidate or something with like the bad breaths to like get them to actually like kind of connect here. But even then, we still just have like a ton of fridge. I don't know. It's definitely like an interesting deck building puzzle. I think that Lies still are kind of working on, but there's plenty of time. You know, new things get discovered all the time, even if it's not like immediately after release, right? Let's go ahead and clash our arms, I guess, because they don't have an arm slot, so it's slightly better. Okay, we lost the clash worlds, and let's go ahead and just word pitch here. They're not threatening lethal, but again, don't think there's a ton they can do with no might set up. What do they have left? It's like mostly attack actions. They have Walk in My Shoes, maybe a couple blues, Mocking Blow, Overload. Oh, they do have some suspensors as well. I'm surprised to like not see any like edge of receipts. Maybe they're just like not running that because it's yeah, the awkward part about this card is that it does I think it doesn't work with Liath, or like Liath gives action cards +1. So basically that's why they don't run it normally. Launch this. Send disable. I think it should be basically. Yeah, Liath is like super close, surprisingly. I feel like there is like a me fatigue version of Liath that maybe does a little bit better into our deck at least, but like I don't know if it does better into like the field, if that makes sense. A lot of room for experimentation in Sage, I think. Have go to basically 2 cards in library, 1 card in hand. I imagine it's just kind of the Titan's Fist swing here. Yeah, they're lamenting about the 4 blocks, which are pretty rough, especially in this matchup. Like where Liath doesn't really have like a lot of like agency or whatever. But that's the way the game works. Play something that's kind of unfair, right? All right, that was a pretty good one to end it on. So again, still working through this deck. There's a lot of kind of unknowns, I think, in the current meta, just on like, you know, what is the meta going to look like? What does Terra need to do to adapt to the meta? It does feel like we're in a pretty strong space. We're baseline kind of favored at least into a lot of the aggro decks, as well as favored into Oldhim, which is poised to be a pretty good deck in the upcoming meta. The one struggle, there are a couple struggles for this deck. I think Enigma, and I think there are some aggro decks that can kind of get through the bridge. You kind of have to strike a balance between like being too defensive and then also kind of like having a good enough game plan to basically get over some of like the more kind of like block out kind of like setup strategies like Enigma and stuff like that. But I think this deck is going to be a really interesting spot for the upcoming meta, and I'm excited to, I guess, kind of see how the new cards and stuff kind of like influence everything. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.